Good evening, everyone.
Hi. I'm trying to promote. Mike is in the audience, but I don't think he's at his desk. Now he's doing it. Yep, he's coming on now. And then once you're all set, I will start the recording.
Okay. All right. Hey, Mike, hey, Michelle, hey, Bill. Bill, correct, you are possibly going through security in the airport right now?
Yes, just stepping up to the scanner right now.
Okay, so we expect you may drop off for a sec and come back. So in Bill's absence, we may need someone to read the motions that are in the packet while he's going through. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, August 10th.
Cynthia, hold on a sec.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Patty. Go ahead. Sorry, got ahead of myself.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
All right, we'll try again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, August 10th Select Board meeting. I'm the Chair, Anthea Brady. We're joined by Vice Chair Bill McGonigal and members Mike Betancourt, Michelle Pryor, and our Town Manager, Chris Senior. So we will roll right into the agenda. We'll start with our consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda for Monday, August 10th.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, Michelle?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
Okay, and I vote yes. Okay. Next up, we have several donations and grants that have been received by the town for us to accept.
Would you like those on big motion, Anthea?
Yeah, what we've done is done it as one large motion and then just do a single vote on it.
Okay. Just catch up. Move that we approve a grant in the amount of $65,826 from the State 911 Support and Incentive Grant to the Police Department, a grant of $10,299.36 from the State 911 Training Grant for the Police Department, a Independence Formula Grant of $86,368 to the Council on Aging from the State Office of Aging and Independence, a donation of $1,200 from Sunny Himansu to the Recreation Department Gift Fund for supplies at Pacaralla's Tennis Courts, a donation of $750 from the Winchester Cooperative Bank to support the Recreation Department's Concert on the Common series, donation of $600 from the Winchester Savings Bank to the Recreation Department Gift Fund for supplies at Pacaralla's Tennis Courts or any other purpose, a donation of $600 from Melinda Guglietta on behalf of Bespoke Wood Rights LLC for the purchase of supplies at Pacaralla's Tennis Courts, to be used to any other purpose from the Recreation Gift Account. Move that we accept all of those donations as read.
Second.
Roll call vote, Michelle?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
Okay, and I vote yes as well. Great.
So I
Thank you,
just
Michelle.
need to make one correction on that. The donation from Bespoke Wood Rights was actually $600, not $60.
Amended to, let's see, $600. Okay. On behalf of Bespoke Wood Rights LLC.
Yep.
Thank you. Do we need to revote that, Anthea?
I don't know, but we can. Someone wants a second that amendment. Okay.
All right.
Michelle?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
I vote yes as well.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Patty. We have some time for public comment. If there's anyone on who would like to make public comment, please go ahead and raise your hand and Patty can elevate you.
There is none.
Okay. I was giving a generous pause. So we can move to the town manager's report. And so we'll turn it over to Chris for that.
Okay, I actually have 3 appointments tonight. 2 are new hires filling vacant positions, and 1 is a promotion. Linda Freitas is coming on board as our new HR benefits coordinator. And Michael Mackin is joining us as a school custodian. They're both filling positions that were vacant and budgeted. And then Richard Longo is going to be promoted to a supervisory foreman. He's been with Public Works for 19 years. That's a promotion that's filling a vacancy that was created by recent retirement. And I asked the board to waive the 15-day waiting period on all three of those.
Okay. Move that we waive the 15-day appointment period for town manager appointments of, catch them again.
Yeah, I misspelled in my report. It's Michael Mackin and Richard Longo.
Thank you. For the 15-day appointments for Richard Longo, Michael Macklin, and Linda Freitas.
Second.
Roll call vote, Michelle,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Bill.
Aye.
I vote yes as well.
I have some breaking news tonight, or this afternoon. There was a water main break at Winchester Place this evening. That's the street that's right along Eastern Bank and the police department. The Public Works has been at that all afternoon. It's a 1915 cast iron main. Right now, the police and fire departments are without water. Eastern Bank, there's 7 homes in the back there, and then 8 Winchester Place, which is the building kind of in the back there. So the Public Works will be working probably into the night on this one because they have to request a fairly extensive piece of pipe. At least when I saw Bob and his team on the scene about an hour and a half ago, they were still investigating the entire length of pipe that had to be replaced. It's like a crack in the pipe that had with a pressure change that happened, an unexpected pressure change there. So, but it's been walled off, so it's only affecting that area. So I think they're working on that, and hopefully we'll have all that wrapped up overnight. And then I think there's other things. The Cross Street Bridge the work continues there. It's on target. So hopefully that will continue and be done, fingers crossed, maybe early, but we do expect that once the traffic patterns change in the fall, that we'll have to bump up the police details. There's some additional striping that's being done on the roads to encourage people not to block intersections. That said, it's been going comparatively smoothly, all things considered, I think, from what I've heard. And again, that it's being watched every day. And there are police details there every day. The striping has been done at Quill Rotary and Sims Corner, and the flexible. I'm forgetting what they're called now. The flexible little barrier.
Flex posts.
Yes, thank you. The flex posts are being acquired. Those should be installed hopefully in the next week or so, which will help guide people through the proper way. I think the Marco Culver project is ongoing. That's been staying on target. They've had to do a couple of Saturday earlier hours. The slitting of the second culvert is supposed to be happening this week, and it's been dry, so they should be okay. And that will keep them going, so they'll be right on target for when they have to do the major work, which won't take place until later in the year. That's where I want to end just quickly. So my office sent out I know it's August, and I hate to say that full town meeting is coming, but full town meeting is coming. Prep's already begun. Sent out a notice, a notice of intent. We asked all departments, all committees, if they have something for the warrant, we'd like to have it by August 28th, just so we stay ahead of the game. The actual deadline is not until September. We want to stay a little bit ahead of that. We've already gotten a number of things back, which is great. So I'll be pulling that together and sharing a preliminary draft probably on September 14th. But we're working internally just to make sure we have everything together as early as possible. So, and there is a potential. Well, it's going to be a tree hearing we're scheduling for the 24th, which is next meeting scheduled for a tree at 612 Main. That's right by the Thai China restaurant. So it was posted. DPW had a hearing. There was opposition to that removal. So, and now the full select board. So gathering information is all packing of information together. And I did meet with the Disability Access Commission because one of the primary issues here is access to a disabled parking space and maneuvering around that tree. So they're going to pull some materials together for me as well, perhaps have some testimony for the 24th meeting.
Thank you for And Michelle, I see you have a question.
Couple questions
Your
for
hand
Chris. Thank you.
Sure.
So, Chris, on the, I'll go in reverse order for the town meeting notice of intent. Is that, it's not binding, I imagine the warrant closes when it closes. Is it just a volume type? So I'm trying to get a level of effort estimate.
Yeah, I used to do this in Cohasset just to encourage people to get information out to us early and to think about it. So we're getting stuff at the last minute. And again, if there's routine articles that are always on the warrant, like Stacy was one of the first people to respond, which is great. And like, don't worry, those days all end up on the warrant anyway, all the budget and capital articles end up there. This is more for just sometimes there's things that are unusual or not regular, and I want to get as much early access to those as possible. So, and we've gotten a pretty good feedback so far.
Okay. My next question is related to the Morocco culvert. So, sounds like things are on schedule. Any concerns on cost at this point? Are we sort of within budget?
As far as I've been told by the project managers, it's on budget at the moment. I mean, the project cost did go up because of the delays and the changes that the T forced on the project, but everything so far seems to be working within scope budget.
Okay, and then the other part to that is the sort of serious digging and transporting the dirt along the right of way through the soccer parking lot. Is that timed to only begin after all the work at the Cross Street Bridge is completed? Because currently I think the T is using some of that space as their own laydown space, which is the path that we have to use to move the dirt off site.
Yes, in fact. So we weren't scheduled to do that work till November. So the T, so long as they stay on their schedule, should be done weeks ahead of our need to get access to it. So there's a time and water issue and other regulatory issues for us to get in there in November. So yes, right now the schedule should sync. That's one of the coordination issues we had with the T of the Cross Street Bridge, was to make sure that our project was not going to be impacted by their project. And right now it shouldn't be.
Okay. Thank you.
Mike, any questions? And Bill, welcome back. Chris just went through his report. I know you missed that. So if you had any questions in reading it, feel free to jump in. Otherwise, we'll move along and you can catch up on that.
No questions. Let's move along.
All right. So the next thing we have on the agenda is a presentation, a wayfinding presentation from Taylor Herman, who is our town planner. So if we have Taylor,
He's coming in.
Can bring him up. And I don't know, is there anyone else on who's presenting with him?
No, I don't see anyone that would be going with him.
Good evening, everyone.
Taylor?
Taylor, I also made it so that you can share.
Okay, great. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience in me getting set up. Also, sorry to take up so many pages in your packet. A lot of it is mostly just informative. Attached were two presentations. The first being the Downtown Winchester Wayfinding Guide, and the second being the branding guide. The branding guide was included just as a informative reminder. That was done last year as a part of the economic development study. It hasn't been implemented in any way, nor has it really been discussed. But it's really just there as a reminder of that is there on a shelf somewhere if it's something that we want to proceed with. But the main purpose of the presentation tonight is just bring you up to speed on the Downtown Winchester Wayfinding Guide, which was conducted by the planning department. Well, you can see all my good Claude stuff. You can so this was conducted by the Winchester Planning Department in the works with Dana Garmy from the Chamber of Commerce and Hilda Wandu from Winchester Arts. This was a grant-funded project from the Mass Downtown Initiative. I'm not going to go through everything here. I'm going to just take a few more minutes of your time. You can ask any questions if you have them. So the purpose of this was to really try to look at all the signs that we have, particularly downtown, but also around town, with a specific eye of supporting downtown's the Winchester downtown's unique identity, provide consistent municipal signage to the public realm, contribute to the historic style of downtown, and identify municipal buildings and amenities. There are many other goals and purposes here, but those were the primary goals of this project. As you can see, some of the existing conditions, you may be familiar with the signs. The one outside Winchester Town Hall today is faded. That did at one time used to be red, I believe. It's kind of now a pinkish purplish. The Welcome to Winchester sign is in the Rotary. We actually questioned a lot of people on this. A lot of people didn't even know that was there. And we don't know if those phone numbers are even active. So just kind of an interesting thing of some of the signage in town now. Hilda in Winchester Arts has been doing a lot of work creating an artistic walkway downtown, and the signs are supposed to kind of keep in line with that. There are also future opportunities for adding more signs, but really for tonight, let's focus on the main signs, the existing ones, and what it means for potential replacement. We did look at other examples, other more modern examples, historic examples, but really with the work of from the Winchester, from the Design Review Committee, Chamber of Commerce, Historical Commission, Winchester Planning Board, and Arts Winchester. These are the signs that we landed on. There were two separate options. Blue was the primary color, and many different signs type from directional, parking, kiosk, notification of buildings, and welcome to downtown. There are a bunch of different sign types that were included. Here is the final design suite. It's in your packet. This was really the overwhelming choice. There were some suggestions by some people, but this was really the overwhelming choice by most people in the community. We have proposed additional signage, but really the focus is just the existing signage. These next slides go through with each sign one by one, but really I'm going to skip through this and really tell you what the goal of this is. We're not requesting any action from you. We're not asking for anything. We're not even asking for any money. What we're telling you is what we have here is a plan for when signs need to be replaced. For example, the sign in front of Ginn Field, I believe, has still been knocked down and not replaced. We have a plan that we can use to replace the signs if we needed. The main reason I added the brand guideline is because some of this was done with the new branding, but that's interchangeable. We can use the existing branding, the existing seal. There's no reason not to. I will just go down to the bottom here, one of the last page. If we were to redo all of the signs as put into this this plan at one time, the cost would be $116,000. Again, not really proposing that we do that or that happens. We will continue to seek grant opportunities for this, for installing them. Maybe that will be easier for one-off. But the goal here was really to create cohesion with future signage, improve them, make them accessible, and kind of match the character of downtown. And so that is what we attempted to do with this plan. And if anything, it was a good study to get people together and start thinking about design and wayfinding downtown. I quite enjoyed this one. So whatever we got out of it, I at least had fun. I'll open up to any questions if you have any. Mike.
Just want to say thank you, Taylor. This is excellent. I know that there's been a lot of hard work here, and I think the final design is great. And I think that the existing ones have been there probably for 10 years or so when we last did this. And so, yeah, they are in pretty rough shape, particularly the town hall one, which looks, I don't know if it's just paint peeling or it was like vandalized or something. So looks great. I mean, certainly if there's anything you need from us, I think that it's important that we get this done as soon as possible. The question I had was around lighting of the signs. Do we need to upgrade any electrical or lighting for these as well?
When we did our search around, we didn't find that many signs that had lighting. There were a few, and I don't recall exactly which ones they were, but there weren't that many.
Because the town hall one, if it doesn't have lighting,
I believe already. The town does it. I think the library one. I have no idea. Yeah. I think the library one does.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But it's a good question. That would add costs that we did not think of.
Yeah, I think it would be worth it to address that now.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Michelle.
Yep. Hey, Taylor. So of the mix of signs that you have kind of the prices for, and Town Hall obviously is a candidate, do you have a sense of how many of those need to be replaced soon? I understand it's sort of as they fall down, knock down, get vandalized, but do you have any that you think need to be replaced in that sort of $3,000 sign, $6,000 sign? You have the count, but what would you think is kind of like the rate at which you'd need to identify funding? Is it two or three replacements a year? Because you may not want to replace them all because you might want people to get used to the new font and things, but do you have a sense of what that is?
Yeah. So right now we did do an audit of all of them. None of them need to be replaced right now. They're all structurally sound. They're not going to fall down on anyone. Actually, don't quote me on that. We don't believe that there's any issue. Ginn Field is the only one that should be replaced now. However, the ones like the ones at the library, the ones at Town Hall, the ones in front of the public safety building, those three are kind of the most central and most important ones in the study. So we may elect to replace those more. Those would be these ones down here, these larger ones. And those would be kind of if we want to get the most out of this right now, we'd replace those. And then I really do believe that there are grant opportunities if we want to say, let's do all the parking signs this year, and then we'll focus on the downtown wayfinding signs next year. I think that would probably be a reasonable approach from a financial situation.
Okay.
Mike.
Thanks, Taylor. Were you all set, Michelle? Or
yeah, that's helpful. Thanks, Taylor.
I know that there are a lot of state grants for these kinds of things, but it can take a little while. I don't know if it helps if we match it or contribute towards all of these signs to get it done, like from our hospital gift account or from one of the select board accounts where we have funds. I don't know that we've got all of it in there, but certainly. I think some of the state grants like to see that the municipality is contributing as well.
That's good to know. Antia?
Yeah, thank you, Taylor. I had a quick question just about the makeup of the signs that Mike talking about lighting got me thinking. Are they reflective? Are they kind of like our street signs where if you drive past them, that will illuminate? Or are they, I'm just thinking they're pretty dark. So like, would you be able to see them? Yeah,
so we don't have backlighting on them. So there's no backlighting involved. So any lighting would have to be illuminated from the front or above. Now, the one thing that we did have to consider when we were getting the quote is that they did have to be compliant with roadway signage, because if they're going to be on the roads, or if it's going to be on the rotary, if it's going to be on Quill Rotary, we're going to want to make sure people see it and don't run into it. So they were at least spec'd to the reflective nature of that. Okay. But any additional lighting would have to come from a different source.
Yeah, no, that was just my question about the reflective. It'd kind of be like a street sign where you would see that parking sign, and if you're coming in the evening.
Yeah, the lettering shows as white, but it's kind of more silvery.
Okay.
Not like silver, but kind of that reflective silvery.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, any questions from you? And you're the
No questions. The packet was very thorough. Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you, Bill.
So it sounds like, Taylor, there is just a request or an interest in knowing if there's pursuing grant money, any collaboration there, and then as well as timing, if that Ginfield sign is going to be replaced or things like that, to be aware of that. But appreciate sort of the detailed information that you shared on the wayfinding as well as the branding information. And we'll look forward to kind of seeing where this goes next.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
All right. So next up, we have a number of committee and commission appointments. I see, I'm just looking to see. I see a handful in the room here. I think we're waiting for one more. So why don't we start with, we'll just go in order. We'll start with the cable advisory reappointment. So we have one incumbent seeking reappointment on the cable advisory committee.
I move that we appoint incumbent Ofor Easy for a term expiring June 30th, 2029, the Cable Advisory Committee.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Roll call vote. Mike?
Yep.
Michelle?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
I vote yes as well. Okay. Reappointment. Next, we have three positions on the Cultural Council, and these are all incumbents seeking reappointment for a 3-year term.
I move that we appoint incumbents Sarah Colella, Patricia Gannon, and Jeanette Colget for terms expiring July 31st, 2029 to the Cultural Council.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Mike?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
I vote yes as well. Okay. Patty, have we heard from Akshata Ladva?
Yeah, she said she was coming, but I don't see her here.
See her. Okay, so we'll hold on that next Cultural Council appointment, and we'll go to long range financial planning. So we have Jean-Baptiste de la Barthe, who's applied for a position on the long range financial planning committee.
Oh, yeah, let me move him. Okay, he's coming in.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon or good evening. Welcome. We want to have you first. Thank you for applying to the Long Range Financial Planning Committee. We'd love to have you give an overview of your background and your interest in the position. And if you could just start off also with just your name and your address for our record.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Jean-Baptiste de la Barthe. I live on 22 Olive Street in Winchester. The reasons why I applied, so I've been a resident of Winchester for 5 years. I'm a homeowner here. I have 4 kids in the public school systems. 2 are in Miracle Elementary School, 1 in McCall, 1 in high school. So I have a vested interest in knowing what's happening in Winchester and making sure the taxpayer money and funds at large are well deployed. I would add to that that I've been looking for a while to give back to the community, and I helped a little bit with Miracle with different places. But this one felt especially compelling to me because I build long-range planning for a living, and I've been working in finance for almost 20 years now. When people ask me in my company to describe myself, I tell them I'm Mr. LRP, and that's pretty much what I do, why I was hired, what I've been doing for now almost 5 years, and I was doing before in other places. So I want to keep it short because I'm sure you have questions and I don't know how long we have, but in a nutshell, that's the reason why we're talking today.
Yep, thank you. Why don't we take questions? Sorry, this is just how you're on my screen. Mike, Michelle, and then Bill, and I can go last.
Thanks, Anthea, and thank you, Jean-Baptiste, for applying for this position. As you know, we're just starting to put together this committee, and it is what it says it is. It's really a long-range outlook, and it certainly sounds like you're qualified. My only question really is, do you think you would have any sort of professional conflicts with making recommendations to the town, or involved in municipal borrowing recommendations or anything like that?
Thank you. That's a fair question. No, straight answer is no, I don't think so. We at Flagship work in completely different ventures. We don't extend any loan. If anything, we work with banks to get loans. I'm not in the team that signs the venture debt anyway that we take, so I wouldn't have, even if I wanted to, I couldn't negotiate that I get a benefit for Winchester versus something at Flagship or vice versa. So that's not the case. I'm trying to think. It's a really good question as to where there could be conflict of interest. Not really, to be honest. I do have several colleagues who live in Winchester, and they don't know. I didn't tell them that we're talking tonight. In that sense, maybe that's an area where they could push an agenda versus. That's the only reason I see, really.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I think I go next. So my question would be, within your work at Flagship or in your career, have you done, do you have experience in clients with municipalities, cities, towns in Massachusetts or beyond, where you're advising, managing debt, packaging up bonds or sales? I'm just curious, is there anything that's specific to one of the things we do here?
No, absolutely. Thank you for the question. I do not. And I try to put it in the application as clearly as possible. I do not have experience in municipality finances. What I would say for my defense, in a way, is I think the structure of the committee itself kind of bridges the gap because there are 7 members in the committee and many of them with this experience. The second thing I would put forth is throughout my career, and if you look at my resume, I'm happy to go through the background, but I don't want to bore you with all of that. But I started my career in India, then moved to China, worked in France for a few years, where I studied and where I'm from. And I've been in the US now for more than 10 years. I became a US citizen 2 years ago almost. And I worked in different industries. So the idea of getting into something new and learning, and I hope learning quickly, is something I've done several times successfully in the past. But this is a new territory for me. I've done a lot of research in the last few days after the application to get to understand better how it works for Winchester and trying to understand the magnitude of revenues and spend and what's at stake, especially after the override vote earlier this year. But it is something that we need to learn from you guys and from other sources.
Thank you.
Bill, any questions?
Nope. Very strong resume, Mr. Baptiste. Thank you very much for applying. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Likewise.
I just have then one question. As you think about sort of this committee and your background, is there an area where you think that you might really either want to get to know better and sort of dig in and become very familiar with, or is there an area where you'd be really comfortable taking something on and running with it? So it might be content related, it might be more operational, but just curious what that would be.
Thank you. What I think I bring to that committee, if you decide that I can volunteer and I can help you, is more operational as to how we build a model and how we look at different time horizons, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. The key is really to what I'm aspiring to do at work, and I would be transposing to Winchester, is how do we bring facts? If I look back at the overall campaign, for instance, as a citizen who hasn't, I didn't grow up here, it was difficult to get just a straight fact. How much are we talking about? Does it involve with formerly 3, now 2 kids in Morocco? Does it include the renovation of Morocco? Does it not? Like, I found it, I can't say frustrating, it's too strong, but difficult and challenging to get answers to those questions. And even after the vote, I could see, talking to friends and neighbors in the community, that many people were still confused after the vote. So what did we really vote for, and what does it mean for the city? So that's what I would bring, is really, I'm a strong believer that data wins arguments. And in a community like Winchester, where people are so proud of living here, and I was told before moving here from Medford, it's a bit of a black hole. When people come to Winchester, they never leave, which is a good thing. It means people are happy here. But we should be able to agree on at least the facts we're discussing. And that's really what I want to bring as much as possible. It's a transparency. I don't think I will make recommendations, at least initially. I'm here to learn. I'm here to listen. I'm here to better understand. But to the extent that this committee and the finance committee will decide to bring things to the public attention, how can we bring things in a way that are not debatable when it's just like amounts, dollars, decisions? That's really what I'm hoping to bring.
Thank you. All right, any further questions from the board? And any questions that you have for us? We'll just start asking them.
Many, but I'll keep it short because one is, how do you see, so I understand budget 2027 has started and has been voted, but kind of like, how do you see the deliverables short term in the current fiscal year and preparing for the next fiscal exercise?
Michelle, do you want to take that, or Chris, are there any very specific pieces that are already in process with the next year's budget?
Yep. So I can talk, and then Chris, you should chime in. So in terms of, key work where Chris is going through, well, we're looking at all of our capital costs as part of our general capital cycle. We are, Select Board is looking at some long-term health insurance costs, and Chris is pursuing some areas to potentially bend that cost curve. There are some other initiatives around revenue. So where we are right now, we'll have to have the comptroller come in soon, but we haven't closed out the fiscal year of June 30. There's, still some tax recap and other work. So see where we ended that year relative to, investment earnings, excess revenue, costs, et cetera. That will be the foundation of where the manager will start to build from. So we know what we can levy on the property tax bill, but is there any sort of patterns on revenue that looks to be favorable and are things that are just really volatile? So that work is happening. And for some of the folks who are on this committee, that a couple of the at-large members who may own the model, we all had a walkthrough of the model on July 29th with Paris. So the kind of financial model, the manager has his own budget. And certainly I think the goal is to have this long-term plan be something that the manager's office might own long-term. But Chris, please chime in with, the kind of the current work that's happening and looking at assumptions for next year. Those are just the highlights that come to mind for me, but please add to it if you could.
So we're always kind of looking at the year we just finished, the year we're in, and where we're going. So where do we finish? What were the signs? Where are we today? And where's it go? And you always look down the road a little bit. It's always hard to project too far ahead. We tend to be a lag. Local government's kind of a lagger in terms of revenue, and even we get hit with costs like people do. But even when the pandemic came, we kind of revenue slowed and then came back up later. And as Michelle pointed out, always our probably is our biggest cost drivers. Healthcare is part of that. It's only we do everything we can at the local level. It's hard. That's really something that has to be bent, I think, at the higher level. But we talk. I was literally just exchanging emails with our representative about Medicare about 45 minutes before the meeting. So it's something we're always looking at. We're looking at ways to find non-tax revenues, non-property tax revenues, whether it's fees or other things that we can generate. We're watching what we can do with the state. Can we leverage grants or other opportunities? Can we share services or things across the borders? We're also looking at cost pressures. What is the town demanding? Are there more? Is there a population growing in one particular area or another, or is there an increase in service costs? And one of the things we always look at too is how can other ways we can provide services differently or more creatively, or if you have a CDL license these days, you can you're in a mint. I was just talking to Bob about his. Bob Labassi, our public works director, this morning about his inability to find people who could plow streets. So things like that. We have to plow them, right? So Lexington tripled everyone's price on a certain element of that, so they could get what they needed, and no one could match that. And so you look at those things, and you're like, well, we have to plow snow, we have to clear snow. So I think. We also have to, be creative about living within our means and finding ways to be creative amongst the departments. Government doesn't need to be siloed. I know the schools have their elements that are clearly schools, and this municipal side stuff that's clearly municipal. But I think there's ways that we do more creative stuff behind the scenes. I think we're trying to have those conversations. And again, it's important fundamentally what people expect as residents and what they're willing to pay for, because that's fundamentally what drives us, right? We need to present a budget that's balanced, and that's going to be the conversation this fall. We have to just agree on where the revenue numbers are going to come in, and we're going to budget around and work towards that. And as Michelle said, we're waiting for the 26 numbers to close. My fingers are crossed that they'll be positive. Stacy's still doing a lot of work on the tick and tie-in of all the numbers, and we've entered this year, okay, but with a hole that was plugged, and we don't want to keep doing that. We need to do better than that. So there's a whole lot of things that we're moving on at the same time. But again, I think the input from folks like you are going to be, and others on this committee, can be critical in setting the community's expectations and our goals.
Thank you for sharing that. By when do you expect to have all the full year 2026 figures ready?
I think later I think Stacy's shooting for the end of August, or the very beginning of September. I think it's historically when they come down. I know I just got an email asking me to check one final thing on our budget here. So I think it's pretty close. So.
Well, this committee can go get to work pretty quickly right after. Good to hear. Well, thank you for that. And you mentioned a model that already exists, that Paris have. So, of course, the idea is not that they bring something from the outside and then we have competing models or anything like that. What I'd be very careful about is what exists. It exists for a reason. We start from there, and then we can build on or collectively agree to expand or to modify. I commit that if you choose me, I'll be very respectful of what exists, because again, bright people and well-intended people have put it together for a reason. So I will have questions and certainly propose options to adjust or modify, but the idea that you own the model, and more importantly, you own the assumptions underlying this model. And we work on them together.
Yeah. We did quite a bit of work in that model over the state of the town over the past all of last summer, longer than that, but so it's pretty well built out. Okay. All right, thank you. If the board, if someone would like to make a motion.
So, Anthea, I think before we get to that, there's...
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I wanted to make the board aware that there's... So, Jean-Baptiste, thank you for your application. There's 3 other residents who've expressed interest in this committee, 2 of whom have applied via email. I think the actual application didn't get into the packet in time. So, I'd like to work with Patty to try to get those folks on our next agenda and then take a vote in 2 weeks to fill that last seat.
Yeah, so I know that there was one additional application. I was not aware of the other 2. So I don't know.
There's one that Patty shared from Peng Peng Chow that came in on Thursday. Paul Puzangera came in on July 31st. And then Leo Donahue and I were communicating last week trying to set up a call I was out of town until Sunday, for Sunday or today. So I wasn't aware that this was going to be on today's agenda. So I was trying to meet with that third candidate to at least discuss interests. So not that you knew that, because I didn't realize that this was going to be on tonight's agenda either.
Yeah, and just Patty, when we posted this, did we have a close date on the posting?
Yes, but all the interest had come through before the posting, and one Paul had he had submitted information, but he had not submitted his application, and so we want until last week. So everything just happened after the packet deadlines, because the packet deadline is now Tuesday at 12.
Okay, so is it correct that we have additional applications that came in before the posting was closed, but the materials were not
correct
coordinated? Okay. Yeah, I think in that case we should consider the applications that we had in before the deadline, and happy to interview those other candidates on our next meeting. Thanks, Michelle. I was not aware that there were multiple others that had come through, but I think that would be fine then if everyone is comfortable doing that.
Yeah, sounds good to me. That's been our practice, I think, in the past when, and actually I didn't even know that Tuesday was the deadline. I thought it was Thursday for the packet. So that's good. That's good to know. But
that just changed, Mike, and that's why I'm saying it out loud.
Oh, okay. Oh no, it's good. It's good to know. For when we send people and tell them, hey, you've got until Thursday at least.
Yeah.
But I think that the committee itself is slowly moving towards getting off the ground. So I don't think it'll make a difference if we wait till the next meeting either. So.
Okay, so let's do that. So Jean-Baptiste, apologies that we're kind of process got us on this one. So we will meet again on the 24th. We will be in person. You are welcome to attend that meeting or watch it on WinCam. But we won't need to interview you again because we met with you today. And so that's sort of up to you.
It's positive to hear that there is interest for the positions. I see on the website it's mentioning 2 or 3 individuals maintaining the model. So if I'm one of them, perfect. I'm sure you'll make the best decision for Winchester. I will not be in town on the 21st. But I can join remotely, of course.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time and thank you for applying. And we will loop back around to you for our meeting in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Much.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Okay. So, Patty. Oh yeah, sorry. I think Patty will de-elevate you. And then Patty, can you elevate Akshata Ladwa for the Cultural Council position, please?
Hi there.
Hi. Hey, are we pronouncing your name correctly? Or?
Yes, you pronounce the whole thing correctly.
Oh, okay. I have some practice with having a name that's hard to pronounce. So welcome. Thank you for applying to the Cultural Council position. And thanks for joining our meeting for the interview. We have your application application materials and would love to hear from you. Might have a couple of questions, but if you could first just introduce yourself, just starting your name and your address, and then tell us a bit about yourself and why you're interested in the Cultural Council position.
Sure. So I am Akshata Ladwa, and I am at 171 Swanton Street in Winchester. And that is located in the community called The Village. I don't know if anyone is familiar with that area. And I didn't necessarily know that I was interested in the Cultural Council. I just found that the electrical boxes, I guess it's called, and the fact that they were painted. And then I saw that on the streets or on the sidewalks, there were like what looked like chalk art. And so like those two things, I was like really happy to see those. And so I just started looking at how do those things come to be in the town. And that's when I saw that there was this cultural council. And I looked at some of the other events and things that the council puts up. And I wanted to contribute to that and had ideas for expanding it and doing more and being able to kind of do more subgroup specialty type things. I saw that there was a Afro Carib type event, and I really thought that was interesting. I didn't get to attend that. I was out of town, but that's something that I found really interesting. So I wanted to be part of the team that puts these things up and make sure that the community is coming out to these things and is getting value from that. Some background on me. So I have no actual background in the arts or anything like that. I am a product manager in tech by profession and have been in that field for over a decade now. And I just moved to Winchester in January and moved to Massachusetts just, a couple of years ago. I was, out of state and grew up somewhere else for a long time. So it was my first time in this area, first time living in a town like this. So I wanted to just join and be part of the community.
Thank you. I'm glad those utility boxes caught your eye. It was a very nice feature. So we'll start with questions. We'll go Mike, Bill, Michelle. Have questions for Akshata?
Thank you, Anthea, and thank you, Akshata. I really appreciate you moving to town and jumping right into helping out in the Cultural Council. The Cultural Council has been very, very active and getting a lot of things done over the past several years. So it'll be nice to see you a part of it. So thank you very much for showing interest, and happy to support you. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Bill, any questions?
Nope, no questions. Happy to support her.
Michelle?
I think the only question I had is, have you had a chance to watch a meeting of the Cultural Council or contact anybody on that committee?
No, I have not.
That's not a problem.
Just she actually beg to differ. She had actually sent her application and interest to Peter Pulsifer.
Okay.
Also, so he's aware, and he actually has stopped by today to see if we had appointed her. So
oh, good.
I will connect her with him.
Okay, great.
And Peter is the chair too.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate your interest. Thank you.
The only question I have for you is just if there's a particular interest that you have that you could see, sometime within, it's a 3-year appointment, so sometime within your term. I guess it's a 1-year appointment, and then your appointments as I'm looking. But something you could envision that you might try to get off the ground while you're a member of the Cultural Council.
Yeah, there's one kind of idea that I did have, and I don't know how it fits into the context of, the committee and, what the boundaries are as they are right now. But I come from an Indian background, and when I was growing up, I didn't have a lot of like Indian or other Asian representation in the community that I was growing up, despite there being plenty of Indian and other Asian people doing their own little celebrations for different times of the year. So I would like to see, and this would be something that I would be happy to take on, but I would like to see something specific to that subculture be something that the town can also be a part of and learn.
Great. Thank you. All right. And any questions that I'd say that you have for us, but I don't know how many that we ourselves can answer about the Cultural Council.
I don't. I think I should have done a little bit more research, but I think I will probably have questions after understanding a little bit more on how things work, and just kind of getting to know, what's in the pipeline and what the process is to, get things rolled out.
That's great. Thank you. Okay. So from the
I can make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yeah. I move that we appoint new applicant Akshata Ladwa for a term expiring July 31st, 2027 to the vacant position on the Cultural Council.
Second.
So roll call vote. Michelle?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
I vote yes as well. All right. Well, thank you, Akshata. Welcome to the Cultural Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we will do our Zoom, moving people around. So Patty, would you be able to then put Akshata back to the attendees and then bring, we'll do Julia Osborne and Steve Baker. We can bring them on at the same time. So we have two applicants for the Permanent Street Tree Committee. Steve, who is a new applicant, and then Julia Osborne, who is an incumbent. I believe she was appointed in January of this year. So we'll start with Julia. As people join, you move around on my screen, so you're at the top of my screen at the moment. We'll start with Julia. If you want to give us a little bit about your background, your interest in continuing on the Permanent Street Tree Committee, and then please just go ahead when you introduce yourself with your name and your address.
Yes, I'm Julia Osborne, and I live at 39 Kenwin Road. My background is I have a master's in plant ecology, but most of my life was spent in science editing, developing science textbooks and periodicals and curricula of various sorts. I'm retired now. I've lived here like 30 years. And I was delighted to be appointed to the committee because over the years I've seen the loss of canopy cover in the town and really want to be able to participate in changing that and turning it around. I came on the committee in January, I think. And we developed, when I came on, we developed a 5-year plan, which included things such as doing a full tree inventory, an analysis and management plan for where we go in the next few years, which species of trees, how we would address that, and finally with a planting plan, working with the town to ensure trees are planted and maintained. We thought we were going to have budget to do some of that. Unfortunately, the override didn't pass, so there wasn't money to hire an arborist whom we would like to have work with us. We have applied for some grants to help us. We certainly applied for a grant with the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness group working with the Mystic River Watershed Association to do to use some lovely equipment that would basically take an image of every tree on the street that would allow us to identify species, size, and it actually it's a vehicle that drives up and down the streets and actually makes a record of each tree in town. And we were going to be able to use that data to develop a plan. Unfortunately, we just learned we did not get the grant. So we also wanted to make sure we were planting some trees. We've applied for a grant with the CPA to see if we could get some trees in some of the parks. And that's ongoing. But I would really like to see us be able to achieve a large net growth in the tree canopy. We really have not been replacing trees as they're coming down, and many of our streets have no trees, no street trees anymore. We'd also like to, some of the other towns give out free trees for people to plant in their yards. We don't do that. I know the state, in some states, and I don't know if this is true here, this just came to my attention, but I know some of the states actually will give trees to towns to distribute to individual people. That happens in New Hampshire. So I think that would be a way, without using funds, if we could get trees to actually give to individual people.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Actually, I have one. So thank you for coming in this evening, Ms. Osborne. So you talked about, you've been on the committee since January, so you've went through the budget cycle, obviously the arborist piece. I'm curious, within your street tree, what you know about it and what you know about our current situation, if you think there's any particular areas of town that need this attention more, or any sense within the tree committee of where you'd prioritize. Like if we had suddenly 500 trees land, a truck backed up and 500 trees, like we're in the Jenks Center parking lot. Do you have a point of view, or does the committee have a point of view about where that kind of reforestation ought to start in town?
I'll speak for myself, because
sure.
Really, I think we were thinking we would have more data. I think we should start with the main large thoroughfares, which have broader verges, where there's more room to plant large trees. And I think my vision is we'd have like alleys on certain blocks or certain areas where it'd be very similar size trees. What we've been doing in the past, I'll notice there'll be like one red maple and one red bud that dies. I mean, we haven't been planning with a sort of a majestic view of what the main streets of the city could be, like Highland Avenue. I live on Highland Avenue, so that is a biased statement. I do know the data show that the eastern part of the town is less treed, has a less canopy now than the western part, just because of development and the way things have been planted. But a lot of our sidewalks don't have trees. So does that answer? I mean, maybe Washington, yep. Highland.
No, I appreciate the point of view. Thank you.
So I find myself very lucky to have 6 trees on my very short street as I hear you speak.
I planted one. It turns out you're not supposed to. It's doing well on Highland. Like there were none. Turns out you're supposed to. This was before I came to the committee. You're supposed to.
Mike or Bill, any questions?
No, I'm all set. Thank you, Julia, for again applying. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Julia. I remember our interview from January, so I don't have any additional questions. I think your background of your time on the committee is very helpful.
Thank you. It's been an honor to serve. However, unproductive so far.
Change takes time. All right. Thank you, Julia. And then Steve, we'll turn it to you. So introduce yourself, your name, your address, a little bit about your background, and then why you're interested in serving on the Permanent Street Tree Committee.
Sure. Thanks a lot, and good evening. Steve Baker, 10 Wildwood Street. I'm an 11-year resident of the town, geographer by training, bachelor's and master's, so I have some applicable, coursework and studies related to this topic. My professional background is commercial real estate, and I suspect that there could be some applicability there as well. So over 2 decades in the commercial real estate world. I'm currently a state employee with the Executive Office of Economic Development. And I'm a passionate outdoorsman from my Eagle Scout days through current leadership with Appalachian Mountain Club in a number of capacities. Why I'm interested is I care about our community, and I think this is a way where I have a unique skill set and background as I just described, and I think that can add value to the committee. I will say that I was previously serving, just for your awareness, on the Cable Advisory Committee. I did have to remove myself from that role just due to professional conflicts in my new state, in my state capacity from a couple of years back. So eager to step back into serving the town in a capacity where I can add value.
Thank you, Steve. Questions from the board?
So I'll ask what I asked our cultural council applicant. If you had a chance to attend any tree committees or meet with the chair or meet with members, just to get a sense of how they roll and what they're focused on.
I have not attended a formal meeting, Michelle. I do know a couple of the folks on the committee. I did have a chance to talk to one of those folks, Tom Moore. He and I run together, and I did have a chance to catch up with him about goings on with the committee and his perspectives. So that was helpful.
Okay.
Microville, any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much for replying, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
No questions here.
Okay, great. So Steve, is there anything that you can think of as a new applicant that would be something that you would bring to the Permanent Street Creek Tree Committee, either something you're interested in or something that you've seen in other related work that you've done that you think could be valuable to the committee?
Yeah, I view myself as a collaborator. I mean, I don't know all the members on the committee now, but my style is highly collaborative, and I think I've got a unique background, as I described. I think also, I have a unique perspective on state government. Certainly want to avoid conflicts, but I think I can open doors through my network professionally and draw upon that experience professionally and personally in this way.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so we will, I think we'll let the board deliberate. So Patty, maybe we can, what is the word, de-escalate?
It's to just move them back into the as an attendee.
Yes. I don't know the appropriate Z word. Thank you both for applying. To re-attendee them. All right, so if there's discussion where we can take a motion from a member of the board.
So I'll move that we appoint incumbent Julia Osborne to a term expiring July 31st, 2029 to the Permanent Street Committee for the open position. And just to kind of add my perspective on this, I think we just appointed her to this committee very recently. And so I think I'd like to see Steve on there as well. Both would be great assets, but I think we give Julia a chance to kind of get something moving, on the committee. So she's, kind of already acclimated herself and has jumped in. And so it makes sense to continue her. And then when an opening comes up to reach out to Steve again. So that's my reasoning for the motion for Julia.
So as a follow-up to your response, Mike, is I actually asked Austin because I knew we had to choose we could only choose one candidate, and the other person can actually join the Permit Street Tree Committee as an associate, as a non-voting member. He needs a lot of volunteers, and there would be a spot for Steve as a non-voting member.
Okay. Well,
So
we can
they're all
maybe
working.
take that up as a separate motion and see if there's interest there. It's also not on the agenda that way. I don't know if that we,
No, this is no voting by the board. He can just he can just
Oh, okay.
participate
That's
in
great.
helping with the committee.
Yep.
He doesn't have to. He just can't vote. So it'd be a non-voting member.
Yeah, and I think that's really a great solution here. And just kind of anecdotally, a lot of these committees, there's not a votes swinging back and forth by one vote. Like I think for the work they do, they're all kind of rowing in the same direction. And probably if they do have to vote on something, it's probably unanimous most of the time. So I don't think that by not being an official member but participating, there's really that much of a substantive difference. So that's just my 2 cents. So certainly that we can connect Steve with Austin if that's turns out to be the case.
Okay.
Can we have non-voting members who do work on the select board? Sorry, Michelle.
No. I was like, wait, I had to pause what you were just saying there. I was just going to second that motion. Then you threw me for a curveball there. So I appreciate, Patty, the potential opportunity for Steve Baker. We should circle back with him if that's of interest, realizing it's not our vote. But to Mike's point, Julia Osborne has been there, and there's no reason to think she can't continue to fulfill that role and be available for those meetings. So I would support extending that reappointment to her. So I'll second Mike's motion. Yep.
Great. Any further discussion? All right. Then we can take a vote. So roll call vote. Mike?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
I vote yes as well. So thank you, both Julia and Steve. So Julia, we'll see you continue as a member of the Permanent Street Tree Committee, and Steve, we can connect you with Austin if you would like to be engaged with them. They both have really great backgrounds. It would be great to be engaged. All right. So we will move on to the old, sort of what we have as old business, and just as we've been updating our agendas, you'll see some things are old business, some things are new business, and it's just kind of things that we've heard before versus things that are new to the agenda for the first time. So Chris, can we turn it over to you for sort of a quick summary of your memo of the retiree health insurance? I'm sure we've all had a chance to read it, and I'm sure we all remember our extensive meeting and collaborative extended motion that got us to where we are today.
Okay, so summarizing the memo that's in the packet, after a number of conversations with staff, department heads, and several of the unions and unit leaders, and doing some research into the potential retiree pool and who is more likely than others to potentially retire, I'm recommending that the board take the latest date that you set in your vote, which is June 30th, 2027, as the date for final vesting for the Part B, the Medicare Part B benefit. I think that'll give people plenty of time to have these conversations and allow, I think, allow for what we hope to have a town-sponsored session, just so people can understand how all the various benefits work together. Not to recommend people retire or not retire, but just to bring to neutral folks in to help do that. I did something like that in New York when we had an early retirement session, and so people understood how the timing on things and how things worked. And based on the conversations, I think it would also allow sufficient time for departments to plan. I'm also asking that people giving notice to us, and that date would be February 1. That gives people plenty of time. It also allows the budget to be tweaked as necessary, if necessary, to address potential retirements. Obviously, if things change, people can always, if some of these circumstances change after February 1st, they say, I'm retiring. And for some reason they can't, for some reason, that those things happen. It's okay. We can work with that. But we'd like to know with some degree of certainty as far as we can, so that we can plan. If whether someone's a DPW supervisor or a clerk in a department, it does take time to make sure we're transitioning and we're getting the right skill sets covered. Again, so that's the recommendation. If people have questions, they'll be free to ask. I do think that this has spurred conversation for sure among staff. There'll be obviously also ongoing conversations with retirees that'll continue as well. But that's the recommendation.
So I've got a couple of questions. Met a couple of weeks ago. We'd had a preliminary meeting of retiree health insurance. I'd asked to get us on a monthly cadence for that. So do you envision, well, I guess, I don't know what the status of that is, but do you envision having these meetings on a monthly basis with retirees until February or March? We've only had one, but I think we need to have more. And regardless of where this vote goes this evening, that's kind of maybe that's old business of really old business.
Yes.
That's the first question.
I don't think there's anything harmed by having these. I think regular meetings are good. I think it was helpful in getting information to me. In fact, folks, and also help getting information back out. We actually had a active unit leader there, and it was helpful. I mean, I think it spurred additional conversations. So yeah, I think getting on a regular cycle and having the continued online accessibility is a good idea. And I think more members are getting appointed too, so that'll just be beneficial. So and we can go those, we can continue that as long as it's necessary.
Okay, so this is the same question as a couple weeks ago. Should I be working with you or Kim as the select board rep to that committee to get that cadence nailed down?
Yes, both of us. And I'm trying to figure out who will be the point on staff here to help with the logistics, just setting up the regular meetings and all. Kim's only here a couple of days a week, so. But once we get this set up, I think we can just set up a monthly, a regular monthly Zoom, and have the room set up here in the select board's office as well for anyone who wants.
Okay, thank you for that. And then my second question is relative to February to notice a shift from January 1 to June 30. So all current retirees will roll over January 1. That's where a lot of the Medicare plans. Is there any implementation concern from Stacy or carriers or anything else for a mid-year implementation or change? We would just add a certain cohort of employees to the retiree rolls in May, June, July, and
yes. So the plans change on January 1, and then again we get the new rates. In fact, we still haven't gotten those yet for what January 1's rates will be. But people retire all the time, so people add to the plan whenever they retire. So when you retire, that's that lets you in. You're automatically in. Current retirees will just roll. Their plans will roll on January 1. So the deadline for letting us know you're retiring is really just for us to know. And by giving people to June 30th, if some people want to finish the fiscal year for some reason, or I expect there'll be people that retire. We've already had some people retire. Right in my office, we had somebody retire. And I expect there are some who will go sometime in the spring. I think people also just need time to look at their circumstances. Where their spouse or family are, where they are, do they have a few more years everyone takes this very individually. And I do think that there's been a lot of good conversations, but it doesn't change anything when people join a plan whenever they retire.
Okay. So then my last question, I have something else if we do adopt this recommendation, but my last question for now is, if with February to inform your budget, right? And you have it like February 9th or something, right? Because your budget's due February 15th.
Yeah, so it's February 1st.
February 1st. Okay.
It's January. I was going to do January, but it was too hard after the holidays. I didn't want to make it,
So as part of that financial impact, and maybe this is where the FinCom people on the retiree health insurance committee can help, we're going to need to calculate potentially sick leave buyback for a significant portion of the staff, right? So is that anywhere in the modeling in terms of, or have we had to pay out any sick leave buyback and unused vacation for folks who've already retired? Like what's the burn rate? Because that's going to hit current year budget. And I think we'd need to understand if there's a need to adjust budgets at Springtown meeting based on sort of these, we have credits and we have unrealized liabilities depending on where the volume of folks and what they've accrued.
I think that if people let us know by February, they'll allow us to do those kinds of things. Often, you don't replace somebody right away anyway. But it really depends on their retirement. If you retire June 30th, then you're right, everything's kind of hit us on this fiscal year. And then any of the savings we're going to find would have been for the next year. And if we have to add more money, it's good to know that earlier so we can make any adjustments in the budget. There are caps on what people can carry, and I get it all depends on what unit you're in and how long you've been here. So there are upper bounds on those things. Some of the bigger hits we've had involve more unusual circumstances where somebody's been out on leave for a medical or something like that, and they're accruing things. Those are pretty rare. Most people, there's a finite amount of time they have. Again, it really depends on how long they've been here and what their unit is, what they have. Most people aren't allowed to roll a lot of vacation over, usually only a week or two. And the sick time buyback is also dependent on what their contract says. I don't think that's applicable all over for everyone. But again, this does buy a little more time, Michelle, as you point out to it. So to do those calculations. So if you have to make a tweak in May, we can.
And I see Stacy joined. I don't know if Stacy, you had any.
She had her hand raised, so I brought her in.
Yeah.
Hi,
Stacy.
Good morning. Yeah, good evening. Sorry, I couldn't hear what Chris was saying, but I don't know what's wrong with my audio. But as long as we're just going by the retirement date, the implementation of the Medicare Part B is basically we take everyone, we get an export from our insurance company, whoever was on our plan and had retirement dates up to or before that date, we would then process the Medicare Part B payments at the end of June. If we then say, well, they have to give us notice in order to get the benefit, then that gets a little bit tricky. So hopefully we're just going with the retirement date and calling it a day. But Michelle, you're right. There will be not so much. I had raised my hand because you mentioned sick leave buyback, but then you continued on with vacation. That's usually the bigger hit is the vacation buyback. And if someone's been here for years, they're at 5 weeks vacation. They may or may not have taken all their vacation. Come January, they've earned 5 weeks, so they get paid out that 5 weeks depending on when they were hired. So it's a little tricky, and some of the union, they're all different. So yeah, they will come with a budget impact for sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Stacy.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions on this? All right. So it sounds like we're comfortable with the memo and the update that Chris provided, and moving towards having a June 30th date for the retiree health insurance benefits. So if someone could just make a motion that articulates that, and then we'll start with that.
Sure. So I can make that motion that the select board adopt the recommendation of the town manager to formally establish June 30, 2027 as the deadline for vesting town's Medicare Part B reimbursement, and any employee who retires on or before that date will receive the Part B reimbursement. Those who retire after that date will no longer receive that reimbursement.
Anyone like to second that?
Second.
Okay, great. Any further discussion?
No, the only thing I would say is I'd like to get a little bit more information. I think I asked for this last time, kind of on like impacts. So I know that we have, 88 eligible retirees, but which departments are they from? And I think it just makes a difference when we're kind of looking at the change to retirees, their financial planning for the future. So that's my only thing. I'm glad that we're pushing it out that far, because I think we need some time here to socialize this, and I think that was part of the reason for us to getting the retiree health committee back together. So I'm glad that at least won't be before July 30th, 2027. So I'll say that much.
And then after we vote this, I'd like to make another motion, but let's just see how this one goes.
Take this vote first, please. Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote. Michelle?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
Mike?
Yep.
All right, I vote yes as well. Michelle, go ahead if you have a second motion.
My second motion is to ask the chair and the manager to communicate with their counterparts in the school department and school committee to socialize and share this update. I know back in July, or no, I guess it was June, I got a note from a school employee who was concerned about having to make that decision in July. So if we can get ahead of that, like tonight or tomorrow, I think that will help us. So I just wanted to say that out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Second.
Yeah, that sounds great. We can do that. All right. I will further discuss. That sounds great. We can certainly work with communicating that through school committee and making sure, and superintendent, and making sure that information gets out there. So we'll take a roll call vote on that. Michelle?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bill? I vote yes. That's all right. Anything further with this, or we can move on to WCCP? All right. So Chris, we also have a memo from Chris on WCCP, going back to our earlier discussion about care, custody, and control of the different projects that had come up, both in speaking with Christina Marshall, the chair of the WCCP, and as well as getting an understanding of what some of the projects were and how they were developed. So in Chris's memo, there was discussion of his recommendation on providing care, custody, and control for all of the projects, as presented, with an update around the Newdale Field project and how that has been shifted to a study and is coming in with support from the rec director as well. Chris, is there anything to add to that?
We've had some really good conversations, and one thing that I put on the list is that these conversations are going to be happening much earlier next year. So they've been good, they've been productive. They need to come much earlier in the process next year. So I am fully on that, as my staff is too. That said, we've had some really good conversations, and Newtown Field is a great example. Anthony in my office went out and met with the president of, I think he's the president of the WYBSA at Newtown Field. They had a good conversation, and it changed the scope of the project for the good. And it became a joint project with the town to do a master plan. I think after a conversation, that was like really needed to happen down there. So, I also had a really nice meeting with Austin, the chair of the permanent tree committee, the other day. So he was actually excited that I like trees and that I want to help them develop plans. So that was a really good conversation. So, and again, as you heard earlier, unfortunately, they did not win one of the grants they were seeking. So I think the WCCP funding for their actions is really critical. And even though I'm going to vote WCCP, I will certainly advocate for funding for all these 7 projects. So my recommendation is the board give a green light to all 7 of these, and care custody and control being all the way through. So if the WCCP votes yes to fund them, that the board, gives them a green light at town meeting. That's what the committee was looking for. That's what I would recommend.
Any questions for Chris?
So yeah, so care, custody, and control. I think I understand that, and that was the next step. That was the open item for this. But to support this all the way to the town meeting, I mean, I'm not suggesting things will change, but it's possible that from August 10th to November, something could come up. So for the select board to commit on August 10th that we support it when we haven't voted positions on warrant articles and we haven't seen the motion language and we haven't seen any potential concerns or risks or cost changes, that feels a bit premature to me to vote that tonight. But that's the language in your recommendation, is to go all the way through to fall town meeting. And select board normally votes positions closer to town meeting, sometimes the evenings of town meeting.
Yeah, that I've experienced. I think that the real, again, we're kind of working on language, right? So I think this is more than just the application. This is an endorsement of the application, saying the board supports the application, not just a right to apply, but you support the application. Obviously, things can happen, as you said, Michelle, between now and November. Things could change in the world, right? So, or in the CPA funding process, or I don't know, perhaps tennis is no longer a sport. I mean, I don't think it's likely to happen, but things could happen between now and then. I understand that. I think what the WCCP wants, though, is that understanding that the board is supportive of the applications as applications. And I understand that I'm happy to communicate back that the board is hearing that, but reserves the right to, if something happens, the world can change. You still have to vote these in the context of the warrant. They do want it more than just application, though. Not just you're saying file the application. You support the applications, the content of the applications. Is that? I don't know if this is all new. We're kind of making that as we go along. So I'm trying to thread the needle here, I guess. Maybe Mike gets more language than I do. I'm open to anything.
Mike, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Anthea. Yeah, and thanks, Chris. I know, part of the CPA process, we were kind of building the plane while we were flying it, and I think that's going to really happen for the next few years. And so, I think it makes sense that we spent some time really kind of digging into these projects, even though it wasn't necessarily on the timeline that we wanted. But I think it makes sense for us to vote in support of all of the care, custody, and control for all of the applications that have been submitted, because management has reviewed them at this point, right? And to your point, if something crazy happens or something that we didn't know about, then it won't happen, right? So even if town meeting approves it and all that, right? So, but I think that we have dug in and management has researched these enough that I feel confident kind of moving forward at this point without too much more discussion.
Yeah, I think, and that's a good point as well, Mike, is that, if something changes, so if costs change, if, something changes that changes the nature of the application, that very well may change where we're at, but given what's presented as it is and what will be put forward to the WCCP for a vote, I think this is our acknowledgement of the projects in their current form.
So I'm happy to make that motion. If you'd like a motion at this point, Anthea.
Yeah. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, and thank you, Mike, for that as well. So, move that the select board accept the recommendation of the town manager to support the following community preservation projects to the WCCP: Friends of Winchester Recreation, Leonardfield Pavilion, Winchester Recreation, Packer Ellis Tennis, McDonald Basketball Tennis Resurfacing, DPW Town Hall Auditorium Permanent Seating Restoration, Permanent Street Tree Committee, Public Tree Canopy Improvement, Walk and Roll Winchester, Tri-Community Greenway Improvements, Winchester Youth Baseball Softball, New Tile Field Master Plan.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Michelle?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bill?
Aye.
I vote yes as well. Great. Chris, thank you for getting this back to us, and thank you as well to Anthony for meeting with Winchester Youth Baseball Softball on that project and getting that to the current state. All right. So the next thing that we have in our old business is reviewing the summary of town manager's evaluation and talking about the next steps here. So in our packet, we have a summary of the scores across each of the subsections of the evaluation. In looking at that, both from our contract with Chris when we kicked off, was that in this review needed to have a score of at least 3, as well as a vote at sort of an affirmative vote by each member to continue the contract through December 31st, 2027. We do have that in the evaluation. So across all of the subsections, Chris scored a 3 or higher, as well as received the affirmative, the affirmation. That sounds funny, but the affirmation from the board members to continue the contract. So I believe Chris has offered the opportunity, and I think met with many of us already just to get some feedback about their review, talk through any areas, any questions or anything like that. If you have not yet done that, certainly, connect with Chris. He's available. He's would like to have those one-on-one conversations and hear feedback. And I think, it's a testament to he came into a hard situation and did good work in getting us through our override vote and our budgeting in the spring, coming in after a period when we had went through several town managers over the course of a few months. So what I will say is, just to add to that, sorry, 5. Just to add to that, is it was discussed among us at some point. Do we want to consider the contract, whether we extend it beyond kind of what that next just sort of 18 months, and that's something that we people would like to discuss. We can do that in executive session and talk through contract for the town manager. I will pause there.
So is the executive session that you're thinking to discuss a different term?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. If we wanted to extend that term,
okay,
we could discuss that in exec. So if people would like to do that, we can put that on the agenda, or we could put that on the agenda and talk through it. Because that is something that we can do in exec session.
And I'm also wondering if after Chris was onboarded and we had negotiated the contract, then we had to deliver goals for the manager. And we did that over, I think, 2 meetings. And then Chris went back and typed them up and came back to us. What's the plan for finalizing manager goals, since the evaluation form itself drives very much off of goals, there's a summary of goals, but I wonder if we shouldn't agree on those as a board. I'm still in favor of extending Chris's contract, but I wonder if we shouldn't have those goals defined ourselves. There's a paragraph. Certainly, I think we had, 6 or 7 for Chris, and we did that over a couple of meetings. So it seems like those potentially should go together, that here's the renewal. Maybe that term piece is exec session. Here are the goals on which we'd like you to execute in the next, term of your contract. I didn't see that the goals, maybe the goals is the next step, but I didn't see where this summary performance would then turn into select board goals for the manager. And I don't know if that was anticipated to be like the next meeting or not. So maybe you could just help me understand that.
Yes. We will, I'm sorry, but you need to go to bed. We're about to start reading if you give a mouse a cookie here, so I need to. So we will, we can do that in the next meeting and talk about goals. That's one of the things that you're right, we had talked about beforehand of just how do we, because usually also when you're evaluating the town manager, you have or evaluating anyone, you kind of also want to be collaborative in how they develop those goals. And so we had worked with Chris on goals that kind of go through the end of this year. So we would want to update those. We can talk about that in the next meeting. And then I guess the question would be is if we wanted to discuss which order we want to do that in with exec session and goals, but that's something that I can work out for our agenda of how that fits. Chris, I see you just came off mute too. If you have a.
No, I don't want to step on the conversation. I just want to say I appreciate the board bringing me on board in the first place. I do appreciate that. It has been a very active ride. Winchester's a full in place, which has been great. I've had a chance to meet with lots of people across the spectrum. I do that every day. I met with employees. I just met with folks that you officially gave the 15-day waiver for the last week. I met with another fire candidate today. And it's been really, it's been great. It's been great to work with staff, to develop staff, and to continue to develop programs and move forward on the goals the board sets, the town meeting sets, and now the boards committee set. There's a lot to do here. It's exciting. There's a lot of great things ahead. I appreciate the feedback I've gotten so far. I know there's always things to improve upon. I am far from perfect. I appreciate the support I've been given, the partnership, the collaboration, which is how local government works. It's been an exciting opportunity, and I look forward to continuing that work with all of you and with the community at large.
Thank you, Chris. All right, so I will work with Chris and just with setting up an agenda so that we add discussion of the goals, and then we can add in any contract discussion in an exec session as well. All right.
I think, thank you for that, Anthea. And I think and maybe in the packet, I know Anthony, and in a previous packet, we'd had Chris's sort of self-assessment of how he achieved on the goals. If we could line that all up together, right? This is the old set, this is his progress, this is the evaluation, and we can talk about the new goals. It'd be nice to see sort of the longitudinal kind of view of progress and kind of like our select board goals. Do we tweak some? Do we extend some? Do we consider some as completed going into the next year? If we could just look at that as the story and the journey, I think that would be helpful, because we're not going to start the goals from scratch, but we also can, I think, give credit where lots of progress is made, and there's still some things to be done. So if that can be part of the planning piece, I think that would help me. I'm not going to have a different answer about Chris's contract, but it would be nice to have a different perspective on goals, because not a ton has shifted from maybe February to today, but maybe for Chris, his interests is slightly different, or maybe our need for his focus is slightly different. So thank you for that.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, so we will transition over then to what we have for new business. Bill, as we're here, I just want to check in with you on timing. Are you good for another 15 to 20 more minutes?
Yeah, but we need a motion to renew Chris's contract to exercise the option for another year. So I'll do that.
Thank you.
I'll move that the select board exercise the option to renew the town manager, Chris Senior, through December 31st, 2027, having reached a score of over 3.0 in his reviews. That's it.
So want to second that?
I prefer to wait to see the goals set up. I appreciate the contract and the fact that he needed to score above a 3 and we have to have a review by September 30. I would like to wait and do all of that at once.
That's not a requirement of the contract though. So if you're asking for something that's outside the contract, you're putting us up for not adhering to what we agreed to when we hired Chris as the town manager.
Right. And we, in the contract, have to make this decision by September 30th as well.
Yes, but if you're making your vote dependent upon something that is not contractually required, that becomes a different sort of issue.
So this is just to, as was stated in the contract, to extend the contract through December 2027. It is not to extend the contract any further than that. This is what we agreed to in December or January.
I appreciate that.
Okay. So we're not getting a second to Bill's motion? So we will hold on to that for the next meeting. Then we'll put the goals on for the next meeting.
Well, I have a question then.
Yeah.
What if we don't have consensus on goals? What if the goals don't adhere to everybody's desire for what they want Chris to do in the next year?
It's a completely separate process, Bill. So one is not.
Michelle, please do not interrupt when I'm talking. We had a contractual obligation based upon past performance. And now you're saying that you want to base a vote upon future expectations. That's a shift and it's outside the contract. And so if we are going to start considering these extra contractual requirements that you're now bringing up for the very first time, I want to know, what are those going to be? How are they factoring in? Because that's not what his contract says. And I need to know that as I consider what's coming into this next meeting.
One thing I specifically asked is to see Chris's goals and his own self-assessment in the next packet. We can put period the end, right? Then we could potentially take a vote on his contract. Then we could talk about next year's goals. They can be 3 distinct things, but I asked to see where we were in February, Chris's self-assessment of achievement of those goals next to the feedback that we all prepared. That is past performance. I'd like to close that loop in one packet with one story.
Point to me where in the contract it says Chris's self-evaluation is part of the 1-year renewal set forth in his contract as voted upon by this select board last January.
It's not there.
Okay, so why are we creating additional hurdles? We should be adhering to the contracts that we sign. That's the whole point of contracts, to have expectation and finality. I think that we do need to do the goals like you're saying, and I think that should be part of a longer term renewal. But I have a very, very big problem if we're veering off of our contractual obligations that were heavily deliberated and agreed upon and concern Mr. Senior's rights as well as an employee of this town.
So, yeah, Mike, you have your hand raised. The contract was in our packet, so I'm happy to.
Yep, it is.
Bring up that portion of the contract. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Anthea. I think it makes sense for us to, just wait and kind of get all that information and everything, we're not asking for months, just 2 weeks until our next meeting, so we can, have everybody on the same page and move forward and, support Chris's plan and our plan, for years to come. So, I mean, that would be my sense. I didn't expect us to be voting. I didn't see that vote on the agenda. I think it's fair that we wait, and if we want to vote, then we should put that on the agenda. So that's there,
The vote was on the agenda, Mike. There's a whole big yellow page that says.
Sorry. Hey, Bill, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute. In our packet, in the fly sheet for this section, there's a proposed motion that the select board exercise the option to renew town manager Chris Senior through December 31st, 2027. So
yeah, I think Anthea, if I could, I think that came out Friday, right? So we got the packet Friday, and the agenda came out Thursday to be in time for our Monday meeting. So, I don't want to.
The packet always comes out Friday with the votes that we're taking on Monday. That's nothing new to any of us.
I'm just saying we have in the packet certain things to vote on that are in the agenda. But for this, it just says discussion, and then, the next day, we got the packet that says in it. So I would prefer to wait a couple weeks so we can get all of the information and we can all be rowing in the same direction, because that's just my perspective at this point, and I'll certainly be, ready to vote it, within the contractual timeline.
So I just want to be clear. We receive a packet on Friday, as we have since I joined the board in March of 2022. Generally, we receive a packet which has a town manager's report and often provides guidance on what's happening in the packet. For the past few meetings, we have an updated packet that really clearly lays out ahead of each piece of information in the packet what the anticipated motion is, which I just read aloud. Move that the select board exercise the option to renew town manager Chris Senior through December 31st, 2027. And the additional information I also read about the evaluation project, what's in the contract, and then it says tonight's anticipated discussion is to review the cumulative evaluation and comments and exercise to ensure the town manager received at least a score of satisfactory, and vote to exercise the option to renew town manager Chris Senior through December 31st, 2027. So that should not be a surprise to any of the four of us here, that is what, one, was in the contract, and two, is as described based on the evaluations that we completed in June or July. So the question is, do we want to second the motion, which is as described, which everybody received on Friday and should have been prepared to vote on? Or are we not seconding the motion? We're holding this to the next conversation where we're discussing goals, which again is not part of what's in the contract. The contract is very specific to the evaluation itself. If there's not a second, we will postpone it to the next meeting. But that's also like the town manager at some level also this is his contract, this is his work, needs to agree that we're doing this is not within the contract, and that may very well be something that we need to confer with council off of if we're going to try to do something different.
Very much so. We are now retrading on the deal.
Yep. Chris, go ahead.
Can I take the temperature down a few degrees, please? I appreciate that I've engaged with all of you on this, all positive conversations. If if a couple of members of the board want to roll goals for another couple of weeks and I can resend the packet that I sent to all of you in July. I know it's been a month. I appreciate that. I'll send the self-assessment that I prepared back out to all of you. Happy to have a conversation in 2 weeks. It's fine with me. All of you have already done your evaluations. I've had conversations with all of you. So I'm comfortable with that. So that's fine. That's what the board wants to do. Let's go and wrap this in 2 weeks. I'm comfortable with that.
I appreciate that, Chris, but I really have problems presenting a select board that does not adhere to its contractual obligations. And even if it's easy or it takes the temperature down, contracts are contracts for a reason. And we agreed to terms. We should live and die by those terms. And right now, we're setting the example that we don't.
Yeah, Bill, I hear you. There's not a second on this motion right now, so I don't think it's going to go anywhere today, and we'll put it on for our next meeting on the 24th. So we're going to move on then to new business. We have a couple things here. First, I'm just going to bounce a little bit out of order and go 3, 1, 2, 4. Because Chris mentioned already in his town manager's report the November 5th fall town meeting deadlines. So there's been communicated internally to staff about an August 28th date to kind of raise any potential items. I think as close as this board can stay to that August 28th date, knowing, we meet on the 24th and we meet on the 14th. It would be great if we could start to get any potential thoughts about warrant items in circulation for our 24th meeting. The warrant closes on the 21st. It doesn't mean that between the 24th and the 21st things might not change, but as soon as we can, if there's something kind of fomenting, as soon as we know what that is, let's get that circulated so we can kind of have that as a item for our agenda for the next meeting, and then probably onto our agendas. We'll have town meeting through it starts in November. And then just so we have the calendar in there in the packet, the warrant closes on the 21st. It goes to council on September 29th. Motions and backgrounds are due October 1st. We will meet on October 5th to vote on the warrant, and then it will go to the printer the next day. Motion book will get to council on the 9th, and those will be mailed out to town meeting members on the 19th. The motion books will be mailed to town meeting members on the 19th. People should have the warrant in hand in the mail October 22nd, and the motion book should show up a week later. So that's the overall calendar. We are here again with town meeting. So just things to be aware of.
And we do have we do have a meeting posted on the 21st, which is a Monday, which is when the warrant closes. Or we anticipate a meeting that day?
I'm just looking at our next schedule. We only have the next two, the 24th and the 14th. But yes, most likely we would meet that following week as well to vote it. Because we also have Labor Day in there. So
I'm just looking at the calendar on my phone. So, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, the next meeting is September 14th. So potentially you might have to schedule another one. Because I think you did the 14th and the 28th.
Okay, so if we need to meet on the 21st to vote it, we can do that. Great. Any further questions on that? So if you do have any potential warrant items that we should be thinking of. Let's plan to discuss those at our next meeting.
I have one for now, if you'd like to hear it.
Sure.
So it was kind of related to my earlier question on the Morocco culvert, which is tied into one debt exclusion. So Chris, hence the question about the funding and the timing. And it was culvert and Morocco life extension. I wonder if we shouldn't rescind some borrowing or authority that's been open since 2021, I believe, or 2022. So if we think the project is close to done, or maybe it wouldn't be done in November, but we tee it up for the spring. But there were some questions from bond counsel, and when we made the last amendment at town meeting, I think we amended this now 3 times. So maybe we're not ready on the culvert side. Are we ready on the Morocco life extension side, since that school is in the MSBA cycle process? Just something to consider. And if there's any other borrowings that we need to close out, because that's often when we would do it as fall town meeting. So maybe the culvert needs to be open because we're not done yet, but I'd like us to look at that package. Yeah, that's it.
And I see Stacy's still on, so I suspect that may be something that even already came ahead with her questions to Chris. Mike, go ahead.
Thanks, Anthea. I don't know if it would be an article that would be coming fall town meeting that quickly, but one of the things that we've been discussing over the years pretty regularly is taking back certain private roads and or the town adopting those private roads as public roads and creating an avenue for people that live on certain streets to do that. So I've been hearing, I think it was a tough winter, and I know all of the private roads the DPW still maintains, and they fill holes and they do that. But I think a lot of them are just beyond repair, and there's no mechanism that we have in place for those neighborhoods to resolve that. There is a process through the state where the neighborhoods would put in some money to bring them up to town standards. We would go to town meeting for that proposal, and then the town would adopt it, and then it would become part of our, our town-owned public roads, and we would then get Chapter 90 money to maintain those in the future. And I can work with Chris on it. I know I've mentioned it a couple of times. It just hasn't hit the ground yet, but lately I've been getting a lot of phone calls about this. So certainly we can speak to the TMMA and some other members about how to at least convey a process that we can recommend, which would be the state process.
Yeah. So Mike and Michelle, I think if both of those things, if there would be proposed warrant articles, if we can have them for the next packet, so that we can review and discuss them. If you can either summarize and write them up, or work with Chris to make sure that you have everything you need to sort of articulate that to the board for our next meeting, that would be great.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move on. The next thing is the state primary election warrant. So we have that our state primary is Tuesday, September 1st. We have the draft, or we have the election warrant for our signatures. I believe that's going to go out in DocuSign.
It is already in DocuSign, so check your DocuSign afterwards.
Okay. Patty, did that come to me earlier today?
Yes.
Shoot. I might be having a DocuSign issue then again.
Yes. Okay.
So I don't know if you want to get everyone else sign that, and I will be last, and hopefully can figure it out.
And that worked the last time when I made it so that you were last. So it will. I'll redo it.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't realize that had already been sent. It should have been towards me first. That said, I believe we've revised the spelling of Bill's name in there. So if we can,
that's all correct.
Yeah, if we can make a motion to approve and sign the warrant.
Move that we approve the warrant for approve and sign the warrant for the September 2026 state primary as presented and authorize its posting and service in accordance with Mass General laws and the town's applicable requirements.
Second.
Okay.
Okay. Roll call vote. Bill?
Aye.
Mike?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
All right, I vote yes as well. All right. Cool. So thank you, and thank you, Mary Ellen, because her office is going to be doing a lot of work between now and September 1st. All right. So we have in the packet, which is something that Bill had pulled together from a suggestion for kickoff for long-range financial planning committee. And basically, this is just sort of working around a kickoff meeting and having kind of a survey for that kickoff meeting for the members of that meeting. So, Bill, I will turn it over to you on this.
Yeah, there's not much more than that. Obviously, we need to figure out who else we're appointing at our next meeting. But this is just a way of collecting best times for all of our members to meet so we can find that time and get it going. I also lifted the same survey questions that were recently used by the Affordable Housing Trust to prepare and structure their recent retargeting meeting. It was very, very successful. A lot of people walked out of it saying that it helped organize the discussion and point it in a very productive direction. So we actually started talking about what needed to be done and not just where we all stood. So instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, I figured it was a good opportunity to use that same process here, as we also tried to find times for the long-term financial planning committee survey, or long-term financial planning committee to actually meet.
So as the other select board member on this committee, I hadn't seen the survey, though I appreciate we need to get some times. We did, as I mentioned earlier, when we were interviewing Jean-Baptiste, we did have a review of the model on July 29th. Then I went on vacation August 1st. The goal would be, Bill, and I know I did not circle back with you on that either, but that generally my sense in the model meeting, we had a couple of school committee people, the 2 at-large members. Chris was able to make it, Stacy was not. So I think people that are there have raised their hands and volunteered to be there. I think what people's personal contributions could be is a great question, but I think everyone that kind of raised their hand has shown their interest and why. So we can still survey or we can do whatever. But as it relates to the kickoff meeting to launch when we get the last at-large member, I would like us to sort of, if it's going to be in person versus a hybrid, some in person, some on Zoom, I'd like it to potentially be at the end of a workday, like a Monday, late afternoon or early evening, maybe on a Monday that we don't have a meeting, or a Tuesday or Wednesday right after town hall closes, so that town staff, like Stacy and Chris and whoever Chris's office may need to attend, and school superintendent and finance director can not have to dial back in or stay in town if we expect to be in person, most of the time. So I'd like to have that as a consideration, like a 4, 5, 6 o'clock on a Monday or right after, the day ends. So I'd said that to the few folks that were there for the model conversation. I'd like to sort of see if we can't land in that time frame.
I'm happy to do that, Michelle. That's best for my schedule as well. And when this is finalized and put out, we can limit the options so that we steer people in that direction. I think it's best for everybody though, and you're right.
Yep. So I was gonna share that update tonight. That we had the model update, that we tried to land on managing expectations on late afternoon kinds of meetings, that we likely have one of the at-large members willing to hold the model along with potentially one of the FinCom members. And we do want to bring Stacy back in as well. She wasn't able to join us. She was on vacation and I went on vacation, but we should think about, who are the keepers. We don't want to have too many people in there with edit authority. So we can work through some of those details in the first meeting as well.
So it sounds like the two of you should coordinate with Chris, with Stacy, finding those dates and times to kind of nail that piece down. And then, Michelle, if you have any additional feedback with Bill on kind of the survey, I understand from folks who attended that AHT meeting that they really appreciated being able to kind of articulate why they were there, or what kind of lay things out on the table first. So if there's other things, maybe the two of you can work together on just sort of this kickoff agenda survey timing piece.
Yep. Let's nail down the day, and then I think we can figure out the invite and the questions to walk in with the answers to. That makes sense.
Totally agree. I'll be in touch with you, Michelle. Give me some time because I'm about to go international.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm both on vacations.
Okay. All right.
Accurate situation.
That's what it feels like every week. Someone else. All right. I can do that.
All right. So the last thing that we have ahead of me as business ahead of minutes is thinking of developing some select board norms. Anthony had, or Chris and Anthony kind of had some familiarity with a couple different examples that they pulled in from Natick and from Brookline. Something we've talked about a little bit as we talk about select board goals and our kind of long-term things that we're looking at. But this is sort of a look at what our norms are, our working norms. For this, I was thinking that Bill and Mike could work together on taking these documents that we have, Natick, Brookline, taking a look at them, seeing if there's anything else that might come through the MMA, and sort of trying to nail down a similar one-pager for us as a select board that can be shared back with the board for comments and feedback and consideration.
Yeah, thanks, Cynthia, for putting this on. I'd been asking for a while, over the years, and it's just one of those things that was we would just get so busy, and it was kind of like so important that we didn't want to just rush it. And so it does take a little bit of intention. And I think focusing on our governance at this point makes sense. So happy to work with Bill on it. We've already talked a little bit about it. And I know Karis sent over some of these examples from other communities, but it's kind of, Bill and I can put some information forward, but kind of, I guess, similar to the survey strategy to see what everybody thinks first with some ideas of what other communities do, and then put together our own, which will always change. I know the school committees had the benefit of having theirs established, and they change those from time to time. But it's good to kind of just kind of set the playing field and get everybody on the same page. So thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Bill, anything to add there?
No, I mean, this is overdue. I think getting a document that can become a discussion is the important thing. And I see a lot of good inspiration from the examples that Anthony sent on. So I'm glad to get this going.
Since I know you're imminently leaving the country, this might take more than the next 2 weeks. So I would expect it's probably not on our packet on the 24th, but maybe it comes back around to us in September. So we'll just stay in touch on timeline for that, but appreciate the willingness to take this on and kind of get us a good document that we can start to work with. Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
The only thing I would say is maybe leave it on as a kind of static item for the next several meetings, with just kind of as like an update, just so it's there in case we want to put some information there, just so the community can have some visibility to it, because I hear a lot from people say, hey, why don't you do this or so and so. As long as people see that we're working on it and can weigh in as well, and be involved, I think that'll be helpful. But
Sure.
But to your point, I think no real significant action items at our next meeting.
Yep. All right, sounds good. Then the last piece that we have is our minutes. So these are minutes from June 15th, 18th, 29th, and then July 27th meetings. Everyone had a chance to look at those. If there's any edits there, or we can approve those.
I'll move that the select board approves the minutes from June 15th, June 18th, June 29th, and July 27, 2026.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Roll call, Michelle.
Aye.
Mike.
Yes.
Bill.
Aye.
I vote yes as well. Okay. So we've said it a number of times. We're meeting on Monday, August 24th. We will plan to be back in person on the 24th, and then meeting on Monday, September 14th. If there's things that come up around town meeting, let's try to get those in the packet for the 24th. It sounds like we'll have the tree meeting, the tree hearing for 612 Main Street at that time as well. And a number of other things, known or unknown, will show up. So we could take a motion to adjourn.
Mike, is your hand up for a reason before we adjourn?
No,
not
sorry.
Anymore. Then you should make that motion. I was like, wow.
And I lost the picture of me on my screen, so I didn't see that I still had it up. Sorry.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, Mike.
Yes.
Bill.
Aye.
Michelle.
Yes.
I vote yes as well. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you, Patty, for keeping the Zoom running, and thank you, WinCam, for posting us.
Safe travels.
Have fun, Bill.
All right. And thanks, Chris. Enjoy your trip, Bill.
Thank you all. See you back.
Bye.